So Season 5 is here for Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone, and today we're breaking down all the changes you should be aware of. Yesterday we talked about everything you should know before Season 5's update, and today we're talking about the technical changes and the actual gameplay related things. So we're not necessarily talking maps, weapons, and all. We already covered that here as of yesterday. Today we're just taking a look at those gameplay changes in Update 1.22 for Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone with Season 5's launch. So as we go along, drop your thoughts down below. Do you like these changes and additions to the game? Do you like the content at hand with Season 5? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, you find it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 2, Season 5, Modern Warfare 3, X-Defiant, and more FPS content. But for now, let's jump into it because there's a lot to discuss. Firstly, before we jump into like actual gameplay stuff, the first thing you'll notice whenever we actually boot up the game is that visually, you go into a different landing page for COD HQ. This one's more horizontal of a scroll than vertical up and down on that main items and the featured messages we see currently, reminding me more of a bit cluttered of a version than what we've seen the last couple of years. So like, it seems a bit more geared towards console and PC based off of what we've seen previewed, but like still could be better, but it's not necessarily like a straight up Hulu or Disney Plus type of thing in terms of navigation. By this viewpoint, it's a bit more of a carousel navigation compared to the main menus that we had for the last couple of games. But anyways, beyond that, we saw some additional menu and UI adjustments that you may end up seeing here either live now or in a couple of days. The first one you'll see in a couple of days is the Faction Showdown. This event was actually detailed and previewed a little bit within the patch notes for Season 5's update, in which we actually, again, before this goes live, know a little bit more about what we can expect to see with the rewards, the challenges, and all. So this, again, going live on Friday. It's going to be a shorter event by comparison, only lasting about 2 weeks here at this, but from the very beginning, you get to choose your faction, or you can jump back and forth. But in the option to choose your faction, you also see those previews for the operator skin, weapon camo, and XP token that you end up getting for your battle pass based off of whoever wins the community challenge event. So basically what that's going to be is every single player, you and I, will get to choose a side. Task Force 141 or Shadow Company. Then every single kill that we end up getting during the time of this event is logged and tracked, and whoever ends up coming out with more kills ends up, air quote, winning. So Task Force 141 players or Shadow Company players. All players are eligible for the rewards of either side so long as they complete that side's 5 challenges specific to that faction. So if you do all 10, well, you're gonna get a reward no matter what. If you do only Task Force 141 challenges and Shadow Company wins, you'll miss out on that camo, operator skin, and consumable. So it is something that you want to capitalize on, but truth be told, as you'll see here next, the challenges really aren't that bad. I mean, Task Force 141 is to get 50 operator kills, as with Shadow Company. That's the base entry one. Then in Task Force 141, you have to get 10 long shots with operator kills for battle rifles, 40 ADS operator kills with assault rifles, 3 operator kills with melee weapons, and execute a finishing move. Shadow Company, it's to get 15 operator kills while focused with a sniper rifle, so holding your breath, getting 15 operator kills from behind with SMGs, getting 10 operator kills with launchers, and getting 5 operator kills with lethal equipment. All of those giving you individual items like an emblem, loading screen, vehicle skin, charm, tier skip, and then finally a mastery weapon blueprint for completing all of those. But that's something that, again, very easy. You can knock all those out probably within like an hour or 2 of game time, perhaps, if you're playing, say, shipment, if they're gonna let us have it. But anyways, that's the faction challenges here with this. Beyond that, we'll also end up seeing new rewards for the 50 years of hip-hop daily login bonuses. This lasting for seemingly only 9 days, so it's going to be 4 rewards. You got about 50-50 chance here if you want to log in and get it. You have to log in for about 50% of those days, just under, but you'll end up getting war tracks and also a blueprint for completing all of that. Now, jumping into other stuff here, let's talk about weapon tuning before we get carried away with anything else that really stands out. Sorry about that. Really looking forward to the Faction Showdown event. I'm always a sucker for those unlock challenges, especially when there's a universal camo on the table, but weapon tuning, let's talk about that. So from the looks of it, it seems like the only weapon adjusted in multiplayer seems to have been the Rap H. Everything else goes down to Warzone changes here, but still weapon balancing we'll cover here in this segment as well before we jump into Warzone in particular. But the Rap H saw an increase to the semi-auto damage and reduction in the semi-auto rate of fire. So slight buff, slight nerf. I'd say it's probably more of a net positive because of that semi-auto damage, but how many people are using the Rap H in semi-auto mode? Beyond that, again, talking Warzone changes now for weapon balancing. They detail that while they are happy with a lot of the weapon balancing, they are still working to improve the general balance for a lot of weapons while also trying trying to knock down a peg or two the weapons that have been meta for quite some time. Cronin Squall, Lockman Sub, stuff like that. So firstly, for assault rifles, the Chimera saw a close to mid damage increase, a buff there. The M13B saw a headshot multiplier increase, a buff there. The battle rifles, the Cronin Squall was the only one that ended up getting any adjustments here at this, but across the board, it got nerfs for a couple of different categories. Maximum damage nerf, minimum damage nerf, neck damage multiplier nerf, upper torso damage multiplier nerf, lower torso damage multiplier nerf, and a limb damage multiplier nerf. So all across the board, the Cronin Squall did get hit. That's on paper. We'll see how this works actually in practice in game. Beyond that, we saw the light machine guns of the HCR and the RAL ended up having adjustments where the HCR had a limb damage multiplier decrease, a slight nerf there, and the RAL had a headshot multiplier increase, so making that even more powerful, which is a little surprising. We'll see how that one plays out. The submachine guns, we saw the MX9 have a close to mid damage increase, the neck multiplier increase, an upper torso multiplier increase, and a lower torso multiplier increase. So all around buff to the MX9. The mini box saw a damage step added at mid to far damage ranges. The minimum damage was decreased and the headshot multiplier was increased. So the mini box was already rather bad. This doesn't seem like it's really helping its case much, but anyways, the Lockman Sub saw a maximum damage range decrease and a close to mid damage range decrease as well. So property-wise, the damage values are still the same, but they're not extending out as far as they were. The Vel 46, we saw neck multiplier increase, upper torso multiplier increase, and a lower torso multiplier increase. So with mobility, this one might be something that is considered. We'll see if it actually turns into a meta weapon, but that's something that's definitely an interesting adjustment. The Bass P, we saw the maximum damage range increase, the neck multiplier increase, the upper torso multiplier increase, and the lower torso multiplier increase as well. So a buff there. That, if it's going to be competitive, we'll have to wait and see. And the Fennec saw a maximum damage increase. The final thing they mentioned was that of the Signal 50, something that within Warzone right now, it is being a meta climber per se. It's climbing the ranks here in terms of meta because it is something that is semi-auto and does have decent damage potential. But Raven did state they're aware of concerns surrounding the Signal 50, but while it doesn't suggest the Signal 50 is out of the normal range in performance, its experimental impact for players is equally important. So they don't feel it's necessary right now to make changes, but we'll continue monitoring in the future. An additional really big thing here, potentially, is that they did do some movement adjustments here at this. Now, do not expect this to be full-on slide canceling and stuff like that coming back, but there was adjustments to slide and jump within Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone. Where the slide, it decreased the slide time and increased the slide velocity, so players can cover the same distance in a shorter amount of time, and also allowed players to fire slightly sooner after the initiating slide. So fingers crossed, that's not something that you feel like you're stuck in mud whenever you end up sliding anymore. And then the jump, that's something that we saw a small increase to the lateral velocity boost when jumping and a small reduction to the landing slowdown penalty when landing, which is definitely nice because that sort of stun moment is really annoying. Hopefully that applies to also when you get out of your parachute in Warzone and stuff like that, because man, that is incredibly frustrating, that half second to a second delay before you can end up getting your gun up. But anyways, beyond that, we saw some changes to the drill charge, recon drone, and tactical camera. The drill charge had a reduction in damage from drilling a player when stuck with the drill charge, providing a larger opportunity for death from explosion. The recon drone saw the recon drone's health bar now updated every time the drone is accessed, and the tactical camera removed audio distortion when failing to use the tactical camera. Perks, Bomb Squad will now protect players against death from explosive equipment stuck directly to them while fully armored, only in Warzone. And then Quick Fix, we saw visual cues added for attacking someone with Quick Fix active. So in your crosshairs, right next to those hit markers, you'll see the Quick Fix icon in game. Then we saw some adjustments to audio bugs and fixes, some more inconsequential stuff in game, following suit with stuff that will give you more information, just like that Quick Fix UI. The combat detail widget was added, where it's a new widget that provides players with the info on who killed you, what weapon, how many shots, and so on and so forth, that seems to be in the kill cam here at this. Widgets will list multiple players and environmental damage when applicable as well, so it's not just one player. We've seen this happen in the past with Infinity Ward titles, so this isn't any really surprise or anything that's really groundbreaking, but it is nice to have in terms of that information there. We saw a handful of global bug fixes, a handful of different setting changes. We also saw an introduction of the eco mode for PC and console, where it's just something that limits some of the performance output here to 60 hertz and stuff like that, but also saves your power consumption by upwards of 50% with the full eco mode enabled. Spec Ops in particular, there are a few bug fixes that were listed, but the biggest one to me was that it fixed an issue where players would not receive raid rewards as expected. That was something that I got super lucky, I feel like, but I heard a lot of people saying they didn't get camos, specific rewards for completion and stuff like that when going in through the last 2 raids actually. So hopefully that's all fixed out. On paper it seems like it is, but we'll see how that all translates into in-game. Beyond that, jumping into Warzone specific stuff, we saw some improvement to pings, where ping priority for stacked icons is there, and there's better visibility for contracts and vehicles on the TAC map. We saw additional quality of life statuses in regards to the play again matchmaking, where players can now see their matchmaking status during the play again loading screen, and the Champion's Quest has a change where all players now need to hold all elements available to progress the timer while locating the next one. Now, the biggest change here that honestly I'm not really a huge fan of. I get what they're doing in trying to test this kind of stuff, because we'll talk about there are a lot of new second chance mechanics added into game modes here. But Al Mazrah for Battle Royale, the player count is now down from 150 to 100, shaving off an entire third of the lobby here at this, because we are going to see more introductions to players coming back with various different items. And we saw this happen with Caldera. I wasn't a fan with it back then, and honestly I think this is going to still, preliminarily at least, slow down the pacing, even though we have more stuff that allows players to come back. I think that if you want to drop it to maybe 125 and test this kind of stuff, it would make more sense, but I don't know. That's just me. We'll wait and see. But for right now, just do know that all Battle Royale matches in Al Mazrah are now 100 players instead of 150. The only exception being ranked play. That's still 150 because those second chance mechanics are not added into ranked play at the moment. So that's something to consider. Now, the second chance mechanics as detailed are a Gulag Kit, Redeploy Pack, Reinforcement Flare, and reduced buyback prices. So you'll find those around Al Mazrah, and they should hopefully, again, help the pace of play, but we'll see how that works out. That's what they think in theory. Beyond that, we have new features of the favorite supply box, being your weapons that you set as your favorite loadout in game. So just like we had in Caldera, we have the Reinforcement Flare coming through Battle Royale and Resurgence to Al Mazrah and Ashika Island, the Portable Redeploy Drone, Signals Intelligence Contract, Occupation Scan, High Stakes, and Tab Vehicle are now going to be there as well. We saw some adjustments to the buy station costs in Al Mazrah, where this is something that the Reinforcement Flare is now available for $5,000. You can only end up getting one of those per buy station. The PRD is available for $2,000. There's only 2 of those in the buy stations. A Self-Revive Kit, there's going to be 2 per buy station at a price of $4,000, and a Durable Gas Mask will be available for $3,500 with only 2 available as well. The Champion's Quest is going to be available for Vondel. Again, the Blueprint reward and all the other subsidiaries are definitely looking pretty cool. They actually put a nice little presentation image together, which makes me really want to go for it. That looks really cool, but that's available. Adjustments to the gameplay on all maps, all modes. Bomb Squad will now protect players against death from explosive equipment stuck directly to a player that's fully armored. The buyback price again dropped from $4,000 down to $3,000. This does not apply within ranked play, so one of quite a few things that are not going to be applicable in ranked play. The PRD from Season 4 to Season 5 is going to increase deployment speed, improve airborne velocity, and increase velocity when ascending. Additionally, Al Mazrah has another large change to how the circles behave here. Firstly, the circle timing. That initial delay time, previously it was 220 seconds before the zone started to move in. Now it's only going to be 90 seconds, but that close time is also going to be decreased to 215 seconds, down from 270 seconds. So shaving off around 3 minutes of initial game time here, which is interesting. Curious to see how that will fit into the pacing of play. Of course, it's going to make matches shorter, but being that we do have those lower player counts as well, it could be something that balances out. I just don't personally know, looking at simply on paper stats. Beyond that, the circle size was decreased with the initial circle. That does not change in ranked play again. Loot, we saw an increase to the spawn rates for the Gulag tokens, redeploy packs, and reinforcement flares. For Vondel, Battle Royale, and Resurgence, the circle placement for the first circle is now more centered to the BR and Resurgence modes. And Vondel Resurgence in particular, we saw the reinforcement flare improvements will now refund a player if it fails to deploy, and the reinforcement flare now prioritizes players who are still connected to the match. For UI and UX, there's now going to be a win streak tracker on the main menu, and in-game to display your progress towards a Champion's Quest. Definitely nice if you ask me. Total ammunition count is going to be visible, where it's now not going to just show what stack you have or what's available there. So if you have 2 stacks of 210 within your backpack, you're going to see a total of 420 rounds instead of the 210. Then the total cash squad widget is going to be added, where players can now see every bit of cash they have pulled together. The final changes, talking about Warzone stuff, is some changes for ranked play, where there's a couple of things added to the match options, like the Signals Intelligence Contract, the PRD, and the Reinforcement Flares, new restricted items. But the biggest part to me is the SR final placement increases. Now, from the top down, you'll end up getting more SR, where top 40 is now 15, up from 10, top 30 is 30, up from 20, top 20 is 45, up from 30, top 10 is 60, up from 40, top 5 is 80, up from 50, top 3 is 100, up from 60, top 2 is 125, 75 up from 80, and then victory, winning the match, will give you 150 SR, entirely independent of any kills or assists you end up getting, which is up from 100. So this should hopefully help to expedite the process in ranking up through ranked play within Warzone, but definitely something to note. Now, as with ranked play in multiplayer and in Warzone, there are going to be new camo rewards now, which is going to be awesome. Those will be available at the end of the season, at the start of Season 6. So wherever you end up, your highest in terms of gold, platinum, diamond, crimson, iridescent, all that kind of stuff, whatever you peak out at in the season, that is going to secure you a camo for that. But if you want one of the animated camos for top 250, you have to finish actively in that top 250 for the season. That's not something where you can just peak out in there at one point and then drop below. You have to actually finish for that one. For the regular skill divisions, that just is something that caps out of the top skill division you landed in. So that's something that's pretty cool and a nice little addition to the content added for the entire season. As for DMZ, topping off the video with this, we of course know that we're going to see those new locations called the active combat zones, which should have higher rarity loot because the factions are fighting in them. We of course have the new disguise field upgrade, battle revive, self-revive box, and scuba mask that we talked about as of yesterday. We have new missions and urgent missions. Friendly fire is going to be enabled here with this, which is interesting, but for Shadow Company, it seems like, where they will become hostile if provoked. Beyond that, it comes down to a few bug fixes and adjustments that change clarity on mission descriptions and infill locations across the exclusion zones. But that is Season 5. Again, a lot of stuff here at this, a lot of changes fundamentally, on top of the content that we've already specified as of yesterday. So that is what we're going to call it. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of Season 5 so far? Do you like these changes? Not so much. Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay up there with all things Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Season 5, X-Defiant, and more. We got you covered here on the channel. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.